È il tuo naso solletico, signore?
Yeah, Tim.
Hi Violet, how are you?
Good, I'm glad you're there. I'm good, how are you?
Not too bad. I'm having a couple of days on the lovely coast of Kiama, just
Beautiful.
just slightly north of Braidwood on the coast. So
Beautiful spot, and you've just recently had an addition to the family, haven't you?
I have, yeah, little Miles Henry, yeah.
And is little Miles Henry allowing you to sleep through yet?
No, not quite.
It's still very early days, isn't it? How old is he?
It's actually 3 weeks today, come to think of it. At
3 weeks.
4 p.m.
my
today,
gosh.
or 1 minute to 4 today, it'll be 3 weeks. So.
And life-changing, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, you know what was most surprising was the nappies, and all my mates told me about it. It's like, oh, you have no idea, mate. It's like the reusable nappies as an infant will go out the window on the first day. I'm like, oh, yeah. And sure enough, 3 weeks into it, and we've gone over, I think, the 300 mark. I had to buy some more from the local chemist today. So it's hard work, but it's, as I say to my mates that are all around the scene in Newtown, it's like you might get woken up by a drunken idiot walking down the street at 3 a.m. It makes you angry, but when you wake up and it's your little son next door crying, it's a completely different thing altogether. So.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Well, let's hope he does learn to sleep through it. Sometime in the next 12 months would be good.
That would be nice, yeah.
All right, so we've got you on the line because you've got a new single out.
Yeah, so I lived in Braidwood, as probably a few people listening would know and remember.
Yeah, we'd like to claim you as our own.
Okay, cool. That's nice. And look, it was a really cool thing for me to experience going in Braidwood. When I moved there, I had no idea just how vibrant, particularly recording music was there. I kind of went there with the plan of building a studio to keep myself occupied, and you know, in my little street cul-de-sac alone, there was another dude doing a similar thing, and then the crossroad as well, there was another guy, and not far from that there's and then there's another 2 or 3 people that all have studios. They're all producing music too. So but I think the first person I came into contact with music in Braidwood was probably Karuna, and he told me some of the early stories about the bumblebees, and then he hosted this awesome jam night thing. I hope they're still doing it. And that's where I met Bolj. And if the locals that know Bolj, or if you don't, he's a great bloke to go and have a beer with. He's probably one of the funniest and eclectic balls of positive energy you'll ever meet. And a long story short, we made mates, and he was wanting to get back into playing music again after having babies and all the rest of it. And I said, just come over and see what happens. And yeah, he lay down a bass track and to some drums that I did earlier, and neither of us really thought much of it at the time. And then I was sitting in my little apartment in Annandale where I'm living now, and pulled out an old analog synth that I had lying around, and that and a bit of tweaking and editing, and some funny sampled speech in Italian and Croatian, and bang, I sent him a song, and he was like, "What?"
It's a pretty cool track, I have to say.
Yeah, thanks. It's definitely. I suppose it's like a lot of the sort of experimental stuff I do. It's hard to pigeonhole where it fits on the genre spectrum, but it kind of. I suppose that makes my personality, and also Bolj's as well. There's not many concreters out there that live in a bus and are into off the grid living, you know. So.
Absolutely. I mean, their lifestyle in Holly is just, I love it. You know, that they're out there doing their thing. It's fantastic.
That's right.
And it allows space for that creativity as well.
Yeah, and look, I found that in Braidwood as well. Like in the city, there's obviously lots of stuff going on, and it's really fun, and it's good to network. But in terms of writing and recording, like Braidwood's really great. Like cold climate, for some reason, I think really helps. Good coffee, and there's an abundance of it in Braidwood. Helps. Yeah, it's so. I mean, the amount of work I recorded there was amazing. I've still got hard drives for material I haven't released, and
wow,
so
quite prolific.
It was absolutely, yeah, and then so yeah, it was a great place to write and record music, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure I caught you guys playing at Bragg at one point. Was it with the Faraway Town?
Yeah, so that was Faraway Town. It was a bit of a short-lived project that I did with an old mate from Melbourne, and that was really cool. And I think we did that twice, and then we did a bunch of shows around Canberra and Melbourne, and in Sydney as well. And yeah, and there's actually a small record label that's got a bit of an association with Braidwood, which is Buttercup Records. It's a Melbourne-based label, but one of the owners lives there, John Billington, and he actually pressed it to vinyl as a 7-inch. And it was at one of those Bragg gigs. He came up to us, and we were kind of, we're in the back of Braidwood doing a show, and this guy from a label approached us and wanted to press, and he did. He distributed our single Small Conversations with the B-side of Not Going Back on vinyl. So that was really cool.
Yeah, that was probably a couple of years ago now, hey?
Yeah, yep, yeah.
And so what are you doing these days, aside from this single that you've just released?
So I all of last year I toured with an indie rock band, which was John Val, and I finished up last year because I just needed a break from playing drums. I played on a lot of records. But they've put out an album which I record the drums on in Braidwood, and there was also another guy I record the drums for. He lives in France, Freddie McLennan. He's just dropped a bunch of new stuff as well. But for me personally, this year I'm going to focus on it's kind of an alternative rock industrial project, The Social Norm. Something I invented and the concept of, and wrote a lot of the songs that we're playing now in Braidwood, and some of the early recordings as well. A lot of them were I look back on and I don't like, but it's really cool to have a band behind me now, and we've got a cool gig with Racket in a couple of weeks. They're an all-girl punk band that was featured on Home and Hosed a couple of nights ago, and then a few other cool support shows. So yeah, The Social Norm I think will be the main focus for me, and we've already gained some cool sort of attention, and literally just sent off a single to get mastered at 301 last night before I came down to have a couple of nights at the beach.
Fantastic. And how did you come up with the name The Social Norms? I really like that name.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a bit ironic for a punk band, I suppose.
I was going to say, it probably isn't The Social Norm, is it?
No. Well, like probably 90% of the musicians in Australia have a day job, and it's nursing, and I think I probably came up with it when I was working in a hospital in Canberra while I was living in Braidwood, and I can't remember this lovely girl's name, but I was working with her, but she was the social norm. She was the epitome of it, and I don't disrespect that at all. I thought it was quite cute, but it was she was one of those sort of timeline people that she had to get a uni, she had to find a person, she had to get a job, they had to get married, they had to buy a house, they had to have a kid, and they had to do it in that order. And there was an early song I wrote called Never Knew, and we're playing it now. It was something like the life that you're blind that you're meant to do by these things that are caught up with ideals or something. I can't remember the lyrics of my own song on the spot, but there was a line, The Social Norm, and when I first started doing this stuff, it was pretty edgy, and I did it as my own name, Tim Godwin. And then when I got confronted with a poster at a pub when I was playing there with my face on there with Tim Godwin, I was singing some pretty edgy stuff. I was like, well, taken aback, and the guy I was playing with, Nick, he goes, I should just call the band The Social Norm, it's way cooler anyway. So there's a long way to the story, but yeah, that's in essence how it was about that chick that was the social norm in Canberra. I'd love to know how her marriage is going now.
I'm sure it's going very well. She's got the 2.3 children.
Yeah, that's right. 2.3. That's great.
That's great. That's great. And are you going to take the band on tour at all? The Social Norm?
Yeah. A lot of the dates we haven't officially released, but since I'm on air now, we've got. I think it's just. I'm going to put on the spot now. 17th of February, we're playing out at Witherill Park. It's in the western suburbs of Sydney with Racket, and then.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. Well, Parramatta's changed. I mean, geez, I'm in a West hipster. I live in Annandale, but it's a lot of 6 million people that live in Parramatta now. So there's that, and then we're playing at Hideaway Bar with cool band Hurst and Jugular Cuts, and they're on that Buttercup record with label as well, which is in Braidwood, and that's 27th of April, and the night after we're playing in Newcastle. I can't tell you who with at the moment, and then some more other local Sydney gigs, and then later in the year Orange, probably Melbourne, and maybe, I don't know, apparently there's new owners at Braidwood, maybe they would consider having a punk rock band at the pub. That could be cool.
Yeah, well, we've had a few at the I think it's called the Braidwood Hotel now.
Yep.
Not Commie or the Pink Pub.
Okay.
But yeah, it certainly is. It's really nice. We've been there a few times and there's been a few gigs on, so I think that will only increase. And like you said, we're really lucky here in Braidwood. We do have a real rich group of musicians here in terms of talent and skill, and we're very lucky for a small country town. And
the food as well, don't don't discredit that. That's one thing I miss. Even the inner west, there's good coffee and food everywhere, but it's definitely. I mean, I remember a time I was at the pub and some dude said, "Oh, dude, I've got too much milk," and we're drinking fresh Jersey milk with Bailey's or Kahlua. I can't remember now, but like at the bar, and it's like you just don't get that anywhere else than in a country town.
Pretty lucky. It is a very eclectic little community, and that's why I love being here, because it's not your typical country town.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Tim, thank you for joining us today.
No worries.
We're actually going to play one of your song, your single.
Yep.
Which is Yeson Tnuc. Is that how you say it?
Yep.
Beautiful, featuring Bolj.
That's it.
Excellent. Well, thank you, and I am going to play that for everyone now.
Thank you,
Tim.
See you later. See you, Braidwood.